And we are back. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you're all having an amazing day. So today's video is a little different. We're getting away from the woke SJW insanity. Don't worry. We're diving right back in head first on Monday for some laughs. But today we're going to get a little more serious. So I really felt compelled to make this video because I saw an episode recently of Timcast IRL where Tim was talking about the George Floyd incident where Derek Chauvin's on trial. And he was saying some things that reminded me of what Joe Rogan was saying on his podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience, about 8 or 9 months ago, that were both very frustrating to listen to. Now, seeing in the comment sections of both of these podcasts and seeing the like to dislike ratio, I know I wasn't the only one who felt this way. So, before I get into it, guys, if you have not subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. Leave me a thumbs up if you like the video and let me know in the comments what you guys think. So let's dive right into this. Full transparency, I like watching the Joe Rogan Experience. I haven't followed him to Spotify. No real reason, I just haven't. But I watched him, as much as possible when he was on YouTube. I like watching the JRE clips. I watched Timcast IRL. I like Tim Pool. I think he does a decent job at bringing us the news. I like the guests he has on the Timcast IRL. So this isn't an attack on either one of these guys at all. However, these guys, I don't know if they... Let's just get into the videos. So let me explain the first situation. Rayshard Brooks, I don't know if you guys remember the case. I'm sure you do. It happened right after the George Floyd incident. Rayshard Brooks was it happened in Atlanta. This guy passed out cold drunk in the Wendy's drive-thru, in the lane at the Wendy's drive-thru, so cars couldn't go through and get their food. He was interrupting the business. He passed out cold. Now, the police were called. They came, got him out of the car, spoke to him for a while, had a cordial conversation. They did a breathalyzer, blood alcohol test, whatever, and we're going to arrest him for it. He fought back. Both the police officers grabbed one of their tasers, ran away. One of the police officers was chasing him. Rayshard Brooks turned around, shot at one of the officers with a taser, so that officer shot him, three times, and hit him in the back. And he died. Now, that officer got arrested for capital murder. To me, that is absolutely insane. This guy pointed a weapon. It's a less lethal, but it's still a taser. He could have incapacitated the officer and took his gun. That's neither here nor there. That's not my point. All right. So after that happened, I was watching Joe Rogan talk about it. And I think it was very, very, very irresponsible for Joe to say what he said, because he was wrong in so many areas of this short sentence. And I was watching this, pulling my hair, like, what are you talking about? And then I was reading the comments. A lot of people happen to agree with me. So let's watch the video clip of how Joe Rogan tries. So the irresponsible thing is he tries to make the original crime of what happened not be a crime. Like, if you drive drunk, you get arrested. Like, there's consequences for driving drunk. So let's listen to the video. I think this is one of those times where Joe should have just kept his mouth quiet until he had, some more background in what really happened. Check this out.
Mark Lamont Hill had a very good point about the guy who was killed. What is the gentleman's name that was killed in the drive-through fast food place? Rayshard. Is that how you say his name? Who was just drunk and compliant and peaceful until they were telling him they were going to arrest him. Even said, "Get me an Uber." And what his point was, it was a very good point. Why were the police even called for that? This is a nonviolent person.
There's a law on the books that says you can't drink and drive.
Who just happened to be drunk. Was he doing something he shouldn't have been doing? Yes. But obviously compliant, polite, speaking just like very reasonably, until it escalated into this tussle. And then he lost his life. If they had just had some sort of a program where they could, we're going to park your car, sir, or we'll have someone drive your car to your house, we're going to call you an Uber, or we're going to take you home. And
okay, they do have a program. It's called a taxi, an Uber, a public transport, bus, train, subway, whatever. The police, their job is not to drive drunk people home at night. That's what taxis and Ubers are for.
We're going to just write you a ticket and work this out in court. You're not going to go to jail. You don't have to be arrested. You don't have to be handcuffed. You're not going to be treated like a monster. You fucked up. You made a mistake, but you're not a bad person. You're not.
Nobody was treating him like a monster, and nobody said he was a bad person. There are consequences when you break the law, and I get some more to show you guys after this video clip. It's almost over here.
A person who's trying to hurt people. The police should be there for robbers, murderers, rapists. That's what we need the police for. And this is none of those things. This is just a guy who fucked up and he got drunk. And then as they were speaking to him, clear, real clear, not a bad guy. Like the way he was talking to the cops, just talking to him very reasonably. Even asked for an Uber.
Well, look.
Well, that's convenient. He asked for an Uber after he got pulled over. Should have asked for the Uber before he got in his car to drink and drive. All right, first of all, before anything else, let me point this out. Overview. Every day, about 28 people in the United States die in drunk driving crashes. Every day, 28 people in drunk driving crashes. That is absolutely absurd because somebody doesn't want to call an Uber, doesn't want to take a taxi. They grab their keys, they get on the street, they put their lives in danger. Worse yet, they put other lives in danger. All right, drunk driving crashes. That's one person every 52 minutes. That's absurd. In 2019, these deaths reached the lowest percentage since 1992 when NHTSA started reporting alcohol data. But still, 10,142 people lost their lives. These deaths were all preventable. That's infuriating that many people die in drunk driving cases. That's insane. So this guy decided he was going to get in his car, drive drunk. Now, if he had pulled over in the parking lot, passed out, listen, full transparency here. I'm in recovery. I was a raging drug addict for years, and I've gotten an OUI. I've been through the nonsense. When I was driving, I wasn't drunk. I was high. But when I got pulled over, I figured I was probably getting arrested because I decided to drink impaired. This was years and years, decades ago. I figured I was going to get arrested, and that was it. I rolled the dice. All right, so if this guy had pulled over into a parking lot and just put his seat back and fell asleep, all right, the police probably would have never came. He was so drunk he passed out in the drive-thru. He was disrupting the business flow of Wendy's. Of course they're going to call the police. Of course. What are they supposed to do? Go push the guy out of his car and move it for him? No one wants to walk up and knock on someone's window and say, get out of the way. What if the guy gets out and violent? Or it could have been a medical emergency. Guy could have been having a heart attack. Moving right along. All right, so and these are the things police know when they pull up to things like this or when they question somebody, they run their names. All this information is right on a computer and they get this information like that. So these police knew something that Joe Rogan didn't know. So let's read this. Does Rashad Brooks have a criminal history? And listen, it's a tragedy. All these instances are tragedy. Nobody deserves to die like that. I'm not saying that at all. But for Joe Rogan to say the things that he said when there's hundreds of thousands, millions of people out there that have lost a loved one because of a drunk drive, because of someone that decides to get in their vehicle and drive drunk. I know a childhood friend of mine, she was driving, this was probably about 10 years ago, she was driving with her two young children in the car. A drunk driver hit her and killed her immediately. And her children survived the crash, thank God. But she's dead. So there's two children without their mother because this guy wanted to drink and drive. So Brooks had previously been convicted of false imprisonment, simple battery, simple, and felony cruelty to children. All right, so Joe Rogan says, yeah, this is a nice guy, not a monster. I'm not saying, I'm just reading you this. So when the police roll up and they get the guy's name and they run the plates, this is the stuff they start to find out. All right, so he reported, okay, so the dad of 4, so he had 4 kids. He was arrested for cruelty to children, whatever. I'm not trying to bring up the past of these guys, but it does make a difference. Now, the biggest thing there, down here, it says, was Rashad Brooks on probation the night he was shot, Reports indicate Brooks was on probation the night of his death. If somebody is on probation and they have an interaction with the police where they're breaking the law, they go back to jail. If you're on parole or probation, like I said, I was a drug addict for years and years. I've been on probation. I've been arrested on probation. It's the way the legal system works. I mean, is the legal system 100%? No, there needs to be all kinds of reform. But right now, okay, so he was on probation the night of his arrest. He had no business going out and drinking because, well, listen, I don't know what his probation, what the stipulations were of his probation. I can imagine there was probably no alcohol or illicit drug use because that usually goes on the probation stipulations. But if it didn't say you can't drink and drive, that's breaking the law. If you're on probation and you drink and drive, you're going back to jail. That's how it is. So these guys ran his name. It comes back. Yeah, he's on probation. He was getting arrested before, once they found his name out and knew that he was on probation, he was going to jail. That was it. The police tried to have a talk with him to try to keep the situation, from getting out of control. And this guy knew he was on probation as well. He knew, the cops knew. He knew he was going back to jail. Like, it's just the way it is. So for Joe Rogan to say those things and say, well, yeah, they should have just threw him in an Uber. What about all the families that see this stuff and they say, well, my father, my mother, or my daughter or son was killed by a drunk driver. Like, Joe, how can you say just throw him in an Uber and let him go? There's no consequences there, so there's a high likely that he's going to continue to do it. Why would he not? There's a program that says you can go out and drive drunk, and if you get pulled over, they'll send you home. Might as well keep driving drunk. Sorry, I thought that was so irresponsible of Joe to say about that case back then. But it's a tragedy all around. There was no option on not to arrest this guy being on probation, drinking and all right. So I was watching Timcast IRL recently, and Tim did something similar that Joe was doing, which trying to make it sound like these were victims. But listen, these people put themselves in these situations, and as I said, it's a tragedy all around. But check out what Tim says. Just listen.
I'm sorry, man. I'm not trying to be mean. I have the utmost sympathy and empathy for people who are addicted to opiates. I wish George Floyd did not experience this. I wish the cashier just let the $20 slide, man. I am sad that this dude lost his life. I don't care. Some people said, Tim, he was driving. I get it, man. I get it.
All right, so right there, Tim said, why didn't the cashier just let the $20 slide? What? Passing counterfeit money is illegal. Okay, and I get Tim's point. He's talking about the drug war and how people should have options instead of just getting arrested for drugs. Like, I don't know where I stand on the drug war. I think I mean, listen, like I said, I was a junkie for years. I committed some heinous crimes to get money or drugs or whatever I needed. I should be in prison for the rest of my life right now. Thank God I made it out, was able to get to rehab and straighten my life out. But Tim just said, oh, over $20. Like, he passed a counterfeit bill. Like, you can't. So if the cashier just let it slide, it's just like Joe Rogan saying, well, they should have just called him an Uber. So he passes that $20 bill there. He's going to go pass it here. You can't do that. Like, I get it. It's a $20 bill, whatever. But it's against the law. We have these laws on the books for a reason. You start taking these laws away, and it just turns into complete bedlam and chaos everywhere. People are going to start making counterfeit money all the time if you just say, well, just let them pass the counterfeit money so we don't have any more incidents like this. That's insane. Tim also said that I can't find exactly the clip. He said George Floyd was a victim because he was addicted to opiates, and he was, listen, these people are career criminals. And once again, it's a tragedy that it happened, but it makes a difference. If the police roll up and they get this guy's name and they see that they've committed violent crimes in the past and they're doing something shady and passing a 20, when the cop walks up to the window, he knows something's going on in the car, whether it has to do with drugs or a gun. I mean, the cop pulled out his gun told Floyd to put his hands on the steering wheel because he could see he was doing something shifty. He wasn't complying, committed a crime with the $20 bill. The cop had no idea what he was walking into. The guy could have had a shotgun right there and pulled out. The cop had no idea. They wanted to get him out of the vehicle to talk to him, and he was just completely irrational. I'm just going to play one more quick clip of what Tim had to say here. And like I said, it was just so similar to what Rogan was saying that it was like...
I agree, man. It's the war on drugs. Imagine if someone walked up and imagine if it wasn't a criminal act to be addicted or to be buying these substances, or at the very least you knew the penalty was a light stint in rehab or a clinic. Floyd would not have panicked the way he would. The chaos would not have ensued. I get it. There's a $20 bill. I can't believe someone lost their life over a $20 bill.
Let's talk a little further.
All right, so that's not why. Like, see, Tim's saying, I can't believe he lost his life over. That's not why he lost his life. The law has to be upheld, okay? Now, Tim's talking about rehabs and, okay, so now they have things where I live, and I know they do in a lot of places where they have drug court, where if you get arrested on, selling drugs, you have drugs on you, they'll send you to drug court, and you have to do all these programs to stay out of jail. And I have some friends that have done that very successfully. I also have other friends that have tried drug court and can't last, a minute without getting out and getting high and selling drugs and all that nonsense again. And I agree, there's a big problem with the opiate. I overdosed 3 times and died and had to get hit with the Narcan to be brought back to life. I get it. Firsthand, 100%. I understand it's a huge problem. But when you start committing these crimes because you're hooked on drugs, you can't be excused because you're on drugs. Like, there was something that I did several years ago that was horrible. Horrible. And it's hard for me to live with today. I just used a hammer to assault somebody. It was bad. This guy survived. It's hard to live with. And I didn't go to jail for it. The statute of limitations is run out, whatever. I didn't get arrested for it. The guy never went to, never told the police it was me. Ended up in ICU for 7 or 8 days. It was horrible. And it's hard. The nightmares lasted a long time from that night, trust me. And if I had and I made peace with myself in the days afterwards that if the police came and arrested me, that I'd probably be spending the next 25 years to the rest of my life in prison. And I deserved to. And I couldn't. Yes, I was high. But the crime I committed, there was no excuse that, oh, well, my doctor gave me pain pills when I had my wisdom teeth out, 25 years ago. So ultimately, I couldn't get off the opiates, so I turned into this animal that's committing these crimes. So I shouldn't probably go to jail. That's not, I don't buy that for a minute. So these people that commit these crimes, and it's not just once or twice. If you look at the arrest record, these are career criminals. And a lot of them were for, drug offenses. And of course, the police should start looking at different ways that prosecutors start looking at different ways that they prosecute just nonviolent drug offenses, of course. But the crimes you commit because of drugs, they still gotta be prosecuted as the mostly violent crimes that they are. And when you get a career criminal that's been in and out of prison, and they're still out there doing these things. So there was a home invasion back in 2007, I believe, where George Floyd was involved in, where he held a pistol to a woman. There's conflicting stories that she was pregnant. She was not pregnant. Her child was right there. This woman ended up getting pistol whipped, not from Floyd, but from somebody else that was there. But there was an armed robbery where he held a pistol to a woman's stomach. That's a violent crime. So if this woman was listening to Tim Pool, it says here, at 6'7", Floyd was identified as the largest of the 6 suspects who arrived at the home in the Ford Explorer and had pushed a pistol against Henrique's abdomen before looking for items to steal. Pushed a pistol against a woman's stomach while her child was right there in the room. And I'll say it a million times, these people did not deserve to die. however, whatever they're, whatever happened to each one of them, they didn't deserve to die. I'm not saying that at all. Because of their actions continuously over both of these people over years and years, all these criminal acts, violent criminal acts, led them up to the situations they were put in. So if somebody was a victim of a drunk drive, had one of their family members a victim of a drunk driving accident and saw Joe Rogan, just get him an Uber, I'm sure they would have lost their mind. Just like if the woman that had the gun to her stomach was watching Tim Pool and heard him say that she probably would have flipped out and said, Tim, what are you talking about? And after reading the comments and seeing the like to dislike ratio, there was a lot of people that felt the same way I did. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. This video was a little longer than I had hoped, but I just think that these guys who have these huge platforms like this, I don't know. It's their platform. They're allowed to say what they want. I just feel like trying to paint some kind of victim status on either one of these people who were career criminals that got themselves into these situations. And I will say this till I'm blue in the face. Neither one of them deserved the end result. Nobody deserves that unless, you're convicted of it and go to a death sentence or something. But nobody deserves any of that. None. But if you're a career criminal and you commit violent crimes and you continue to use drugs without getting help, that's the only way out. The only way out. The only way, if I had continued using drugs, the only way out of my life was prison or death. I chose the third option. Get help, clean my life out, have a great life. So let me know what you guys think. Leave me a thumbs up if you like the video. And if you have not subscribed, help me hit that 1,000 subscriber goal. You guys are all awesome. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Peace.